Hey guys, it's Heyde, and today I'm going to be doing a more in-depth look at one of my newer cues called Mr. Moneybags. This cue almost exclusively uses ProjectSAM's Swing VST. It's a really cool big band library, and it's jam-packed with a ton of different, really inspiring samples. I had my eye on that VST for probably about a year and a half, and it's been a really cool opportunity to finally try it out and make some music with it. So before I actually get into this cue, I want to just open up the interface so you can see what it looks like and see how much it really has to offer. Under the instruments section, we have 7 different folders. We've got lead instruments, big band ensemble, sax section, brass, rhythm, slide guitars, and tempo synced grooves. And then in the multis, we've got a lot of different templates here if you need to have something up and running really, really fast. The interface itself is really nice. We've got velocity triggered samples, and we also have this mod wheel section here. And in some instances, changing the mod wheel's position will actually change different samples available to us through velocity. We've also got really nice mic positionings, depending on how close or far in the stage you want the instrument to sound. We have the ability to change the attack and release. We've got a really nice built-in reverb that actually this cue uses exclusively. We've got a limiter, and we've got velocity, which will basically allow you to change the default of how loud or quiet the instrument's going to be. So I'm just going to run through this piece in sections, and then I'm going to tell you which instruments I used from an orchestration standpoint, and also just play through those instruments a little bit. Okay, let's start with that section. So we keep it pretty minimal. We've got big band tutti short here. Tutti means the full ensemble. And we've got some really, really nice low sounding brass and saxophones. Now you'll notice over here, depending on how much velocity I'm giving the note, whether I'm hitting it really hard or soft, we're triggering different samples. So on the lowest end, we have marcato. And then a little bit louder, we have staccato. A little bit louder, staccato forte. And then at the loudest, we have marcato forte. Now, all this section is just using staccato, piano, or forte. And if for whatever reason you have trouble playing at the proper velocity, you can always go in the piano roll and adjust the velocities afterwards. So I'm going to isolate this section just so you can hear how it sounds. Really nice and aggressive sounding. Now doubled with this, we also have the jazz bass, which is really nice. You can hear the snaps on the string to the fretboard, which is really cool. Nice one at the end there. And we have snaps, which sound really nice as well. Now what I like that they did with the snaps is they actually gave you several different, if I open this up, you'll see, we have several different notes here. Now they're all just snapping, but they're different samples being triggered, which allows you to avoid having the same sample repeated over and over. Instead of this, we're gonna get different ones each time. Subtle difference helps it sound really realistic. So once we get through this section, the drums enter. Now the drums are really cool because not only are they a great sounding brush kit, I'll actually play a little bit so you can hear that. Sound really, really great. It's actually the best drum brush VST I've actually heard. I think it sounds really nice. They also included some really nice things like stirs, some tremolo ride effects, and cymbal chokes, which you really don't hear very often in VSTs. And then on the top end, they've got some really nice kind of traditional jazz fills. Really, really great. Very thorough. So after the drums come in this section, we introduce some short trombones just to kind of layer on top of this big band tooty sound, and these sound really nice on their own too. And then lastly, we have some high trumpets come in. These are really, really wailing on the top end. And then if we move the mod wheel all the way to the top, we actually get a fall, which sounds really nice, which is what I wound up doing. We also have things like shakes, although I didn't use them for this piece. I think they're awesome. So let's play through that section one more time so you can hear it, and then we'll move on. That's plenty to work with right there. So the primary instrument of this section is the saxophones, and that's the reason why they were omitted from the beginning. With big band arranging, you want to kind of feature different sections, and they'll all have different roles, and you'll notice as this piece progresses, each section is going to get featured in its own way. So we have the saxes, the lead saxes here, and they sound really, really nice. Their volume is controlled with the mod wheel, and we also get some nice alterations between non-vibrato samples and vibrato. Now on top of the saxes, I actually doubled them with East-West's vibraphone. This version of Swing does not come with a vibraphone, but I believe their Swing More expansion pack does. But I just really like the sound of vibraphone and sax together, particularly on lead lines, so I just wanted to have it in there. So you can hear how that sounds. I think it's a really nice sound. You'll also notice that I have two different tracks for the saxes, and one track is just for the legato, the other track is actually for the shorts. Basically just a way to give me a little bit more control and kind of have some nuance in the articulation. Now our trombones are still kind of chunking away. Now they're working in 4-part voicings as they traditionally would. I think the trombones in this pack sound fantastic. I think they're really brassy and in your face, as they should be. So they're working as an accompaniment underneath. And then in the second half of this whole section, we have tenor saxes working a counter line against the primary lead, which sounds like this. Kind of a reverse James Bond nod. And then we have a couple stings coming from the trumpets that are accompanying the trombone line, like this. Little stings just kind of to fill up the spaces between the melody. So let's hear that section one more time. Okay, now this is actually my favorite section. I just really like the way it wound up turning out through the arrangement. So we have our accordion here. I think the accordion sounds really, really nice. It kind of reminds me of some of Henry Mancini's music. He had a similar sounding accordion. Really beautiful sounding. And I put it a little farther in the stage, just to give it a little bit more reverb. So that's the lead of this section. We have a couple non-swing VST things happening. We have some tremolo strings that are just kind of helping to accent some of the other stuff that's happening. It sounds like this. And what they're doubling is our saxophone, trombone, and trumpet swells, which sound wonderful. They sound like this. Really, really nice. And cleverly, ProjectSAM designed in here a speed dial. So this will basically allow you to have this swell happen at a quicker or slower speed. And the last addition we have in this section of the arrangement is the nylon guitar, doing a kind of a combination between just rolling chords and strumming. And they've got lots of different chords here. So you have a lot of variety within there. If you wanted to have individual notes as opposed to chords, they also have another nylon guitar that's designed for that. Very nice, very soulful. It's amazing how much quality is in each of these instruments. They really, really went above and beyond and just gave you so many options. I think all the instruments are incredibly playable, and especially when combined against some of the other orchestral VSTs that I've got, like the strings that you heard, I think it makes for a really, really full sound. So let's move right along to the next session. I'm not going to play this one again, but if you want to hear it, you can always back up in the video. Okay, pretty short section. I'm going to go through this part real quick. But basically, I have the big band tutti here again. Right? But I want to kind of highlight different sections. So in order to do that, I'm going to take these tutti sections that we've got, and I'm going to emphasize them with some of the solo sections. So you hear the trombones here on their own, doubled with the tutti section. And we're also going to tag in some low saxes just to emphasize the saxes a little bit more. So between that, the other saxes that come in here, and the bass, we get a really, really full sound. That sounds both like a large ensemble, but also you can pick out the different solo instruments. Let's move along. Okay, so for that last section, we've now got the brass featured. We had the saxes featured through the first half. Now we've got the brass in the second half. To really make the brass stand out, I used ProjectSAM swing brass, but I also used some east-west trumpets and some of 8Dio's trombones just to make it as kind of fat and in your face as possible. So you hear all of those in combination. Now we've got some super low brass happening, and we're also adding in saxes, getting in the big band tutti. We're basically just throwing everything we can at the ending of this piece to make it sound really, really loud. Okay, you'll also notice the drums now go into halftime. It wasn't actually initially this way, but I thought it was a nice way to kind of accelerate the drama. You'll hear how the drums now start to hit the snares twice as fast. This is before, and then you'll hear after. And if you recognize that little ending here with the drums, that's actually one of their pre-assigned fills. So I thought it sounded really nice. And then lastly, the saxophones are now taking a backseat. They're kind of doing some of the accompaniment lines. Remember before we had the tenors kind of playing this reverse James Bond thing? That now comes back, but it's elaborated a little bit more with 2 lines. Yeah, I'm going to play this section out one more time, but that is the basis of the piece. Again, I had so much fun writing with this VST. There are so many different sounds in it. I've only begun to scratch the surface with this cue. I'm linking this VST in the description below so that you can check it out and hear some more audio demos. If you have any questions about the VST or this cue, please let me know in the comments and I'll definitely get to them. Thanks again for watching. I'm Heyde, and I will see you in the next video.